Quick message before today's webinar. If you are involved with or know any events that require ticketing or admissions, we have a purpose-built platform just for ticket events. Like RunSignup, it's free to use and provides the same marketing and event day tools to help you put on a seamless event. For more information, visit TicketSignup.io. You can schedule a call there or just start creating your event for free today. Now on to the webinar.
Welcome and thank you for joining us today for our third Vibe Coding project webinar. Today we're going to have developer Jonathan Farrell here to review what you've learned and build on what you've already learned about Vibe Coding. There's a couple of quick housekeeping notes off the top. If you need captions for this webinar, you can enable those from the captions icon at the bottom right of your GoToWebinar. This webinar will be recorded. We send out the recording and any slides within 24 hours via email and also post it to our website. You can find that by going to Knowledge Base and Webinars and Events. If you have any questions or feedback during this, you can use the questions or chat section on your GoToWebinar panel. We'll be holding most questions for the end of the webinar, but we'll try to follow up on as many of them as possible when we get to the end. And now I will turn it over to Jonathan.
Thank you very much, Johanna. So welcome, everyone. Happy Thursday, and hope everyone's having a good day. This is our third installment of the Vibe Coding sessions with RunSignup. You guys have done a lot so far, and I hope you've been soaking it up. I wanted to, originally we were going to do more of a project like we did with the other ones, where we were going to, try and, repeat the success of, thinking of an idea and getting into V0 and prompting the AI and trying to build something useful for us. I kind of felt like, though, watching with the other webinars, Joel, Daniel, Soren, and Matt did a great job showing you those tools and how to use them. And I feel pretty confident that that was communicated pretty clearly, and you guys should all have a pretty good sense of what's happening there and how to use them. And I want to take a step back in this one and kind of talk a bit more. I mean, we'll look at some code and some stuff, but I want to leave everyone kind of feeling good coming out of here, kind of wrap this all up into a package and close the loop, and really, make sure you understand what you saw, that you're feeling good about it, and that going forward, you know what to do. Because you could sit and watch other people do this all day, but the goal of it is to have you come out of here feeling good about playing with some code and vibe coding and getting things going. And it can be really fun and it can be really powerful. So we're going to talk through a few things there. So the agenda that I have, we're going to go through a recap of quickly what we've, what the last two sessions covered, and where we are right now. We're going to talk a little bit about what vibe coding is and what it isn't, because there's a big distinction there. So I want to make sure we understand what's going on there. That's going to lead us into how to talk to the AI, which is a big thing, because it's going to matter how you talk to it and how it's going to talk to you. It really is like, a little kind of relationship. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. That's going to lead us into talking about prompt engineering, or how to prompt, and why and how that makes a difference. We'll look at some other tools again. I added some onto the list that were originally there, just because I want everyone to be able to go out and explore a little bit and find what's comfortable with them. And then where to go from here, what we have coming next, what we want to hear from you, and all of that. And I want to leave a decent amount of time at the end. I'm going to try my best to talk quickly, to leave a decent amount of time at the end for Q&A. I'm happy to answer anything that anyone has question-wise, whether it's about this presentation or the past ones. I was involved with those and watched them, so I know what's going on. So I can try my best to answer any questions from those past ones without having the code up. But I'm here to answer and make everyone feel good. So if you have any questions, like Johanna said, put them in the chat, and we'll at the end they'll loop me in, and we'll go through and answer those. So Recap. So everyone started off, we explored V0 and Vercel and looked at the, what those pieces of software are, and how V0 is used to write the code and really do the vibe coding, and Vercel is there to deploy and host that application for you, making it a really nice all-in-one package. And that's why we focused there, because it's just one little world of everything. Joel and Daniel did a great job explaining to you how to use it, what it is, and kind of the separation of the two. They then went on, they vibe coded a race pace calculator, which was really cool. I didn't know they were going to do that, and it was really fun to watch, because I used to, maybe 10 years ago or so, I really used to love making those things. I used to like just sit around and make different race pace calculators and prediction calculators all the time. So it was really fun to see them do that. That one touched a little personal spot for me. And then they went from there to vibe code a race calendar, and a race search, and added the weather in there, which I thought was a really cool touch as well. As long as you're within that period, to have see what your weather is, really cool feature. And that's kind of the crux of this vibe coding stuff, I feel like, is just kind of thinking of ideas and being like, bam, let's just, let's get it in there and make it fun. So the second webinar, everyone learned how to duplicate and remix some existing projects. Avery and Soren did a great job talking through that and showing how prompts are limited sometimes, and there's work that goes into making things good. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. You can take an existing project like they were looking at and duplicate it and just remix it to make it your own. That's really, really powerful thing, because it gives you a really good starting point. And if you are using something that you want to use for your company, or your race, you can brand it, you can, white label it, I guess would be the industry word, to, put your logo and colors in there. And that goes into learning how to update the UI and asking it to change certain things, making it mobile friendly, some of the problems that they were working through on there. You also learned in both of them how to use basic APIs, both the RunSignup APIs, which are kind of your best friend here if you're trying to do stuff with us, because that's going to get your information out of there so that you can use it in this application. And also third-party APIs. There's plenty of free APIs out there to get stuff like weather. So finding free weather APIs, are great. If you wanted to put like a stock ticker on your race page, you could do that too, because there's plenty of free stock ticker APIs, things like that, where there's information and people want it. There's going to be APIs. So you've learned some of that, and then how to problem solve, and that's a big thing with vibe coding, because there's going to be problems to solve, whether it's on the way it looks, whether it's the data you're seeing, or if you want it to do something different. Sometimes we gotta, look at it. Life isn't perfect, and neither is AI, right? So we always got to look in there and see what's going on. So I'm gonna quickly blow through these two slides. I just put these back in here. These were Joel and Daniel's slides, and I really I like the way they did this, and this feels like it was 10 years ago. So I just want to look at it again and just kind of take it all in, because there's a lot here and there's been a lot of information. But I think I like the way it's here that they say on the top that using AI tools to turn ideas into code quickly. And that's I think that's the best way to put it, is you have a good idea, and you're going to quickly turn it into something, turn it into a tangible thing, a real thing that you can touch, that you can share, and see if it works, see if it does what you think it can do, see if it feels right, because what's in here and what's out there a lot of times is very different. So it's really a great idea to just quickly prototype and get things out there and see what it can do. No heavy setup, just describing what you want to do. No dev experience needed. I think in a lot of cases it's not at all. Of course, the more complicated you get, the more you're going to need to have that dev experience. But these tools are really good in holding your hand and helping you. And if you don't know what to do, you can ask it, and it's going to tell you. If you need a database and you've never set up a database, you can say, well, hey, how do I set up a database? And it's going to walk you through the steps. It'll give you prompts, and it'll tell you when to run them and where to run them and things like that. So it's, it's always better to have experience. But I rebuilt the inside of my toilet with YouTube videos, and I have no plumbing experience. So it's the same sort of idea. You can get there without the dev experience. Next point I think is huge, and I'm going to get into this a lot, but focusing on fun experimentation and rapid prototyping, I think, is the main thing. And I really want to drive that home, is that this is fun, and like this should be fun. And that's, in my experience, that's where some of the best stuff has come out of, is just having fun and kind of, just playing with it and seeing, oh, well, hey, wait, I could do this, and hey, I could do this here, and this could happen, and then this could happen, and what if we tried this? And sometimes it gives me ideas, and it's I don't know, it's just fun. Like, I think that's an important thing, is to just have fun. This too, again, just kind of reviewing here. It makes it accessible to non-developers. It encourages the creativity. It's great for fast testing without a full dev effort. And you can build confidence by starting small and learning, and just kind of iterating on it and building. So this is my kind of view on it, is what is vibe coding, and I think it really is. It's a way to have fun. Like I said, it's a way to go out there and just take what's in your head and just throw it out there and get it, and see what sticks, and see what makes sense, and see if it's real. I think that's really good. I mean, then that's how we all started. Like, a lot of us here, was we were doing fun things. Just hey, I had this idea for the last year, but it'd take me a few hours to sit down and code it. And I have the family, and I have work, and I have other commitments, and I just don't have the time. And now in 15-20 minutes, I can bring that to life, and it's really fun. One of the examples that I like the most, that this is like really when it clicked for me, when I'm like, this is really cool, was one of the other developers on our team. Matt Morrison got on a call, on one of our team calls, and said that he used it to create a little application that can take, there's specific files for crossword puzzles that he has a ton of, that he made. So he made an application where you could upload that file, and it spits out an actual crossword puzzle for you, taking the clues and the solutions and putting it together. And it's like, that is so cool. I mean, it's not it's not the next Apple, but it's really cool, and it's something that was fun, that he had in his head, but didn't have the time to sit down and really do it. And now it's there, and it's real life. And that's the sort of thing that reminds me of like the early days of back in the 90s, when like a lot of like developers and the software was coming up, and people were just doing fun things like that as hobbies. So fun, it should be fun, in a way to bring ideas to life. And like I said, like an MVP, a proof of concept, that's what you're looking for here. It really democratizes the technology stack as well, because like I said, it makes it so non-developers can do things that they couldn't do before. If you have no dev experience, and you need a little website, or you need a little application to do something, you would either write it off, or you would say, go out to, Upwork or whatever people use these days, and look for a developer and say, hey, who can I get for X amount an hour? And it's a whole process, and it's going to cost you time and effort and money. And, it's a big to do. Now, you can just spin something up, especially like, easy websites that are just like small brochure sites, things like that. It just like, it makes things available to everyone, which I think is really cool. And at the same time, it allows developers to do even better things and more complicated things. And how many times I've had a friend or a family member reach out to me and say, hey, can you help me with this little thing? And it takes me away from my life for a bit to kind of do that. Now they can do it themselves, and I can go and I can read more about AI or MCP servers, or whatever other technology I want, and I can learn to do more. So it frees me up to other developers to go and do bigger and better things. So I think it's a win-win for everyone. The last point here, which I think is really important too, is that it's a tool. It's an assistant. And I like to think of it as like a third arm you didn't know you had. It's really an extension of you. It's something that's working with you. It's not, it's not you barking orders at it. It's you guys working together. It's like, taking a notepad and throwing it away to use Excel, right? It's the same sort of thing where it's going to assist you and help you through this stuff. And that can lead us to what isn't vibe coding and AI in general. It's not a software developer. It's not an answer to everything, and it's not a magic wand. These are very important, where you're not going to just say, hey, build me Amazon.com, and you walk away, and 2 hours later you come back and you're Jeff Bezos. Like, that's not the way it works. It's not, it's not perfect. It needs direction. And as it scales, you need to get in there more, and you need to work with it more. I think that this stuff has, like, when you look at the return on it, in my opinion, there's a very logarithmic curve there, where it starts off very, very big, and there's like tons of return, and you just feel like, wow, this is so cool, I'm getting all this stuff. But as things get more complex, it tends to level off a bit, where you need to get in there and really give it direction, and be involved. And being involved from the start is what's important. The more vague you are, the messier it's going to get. The more you do, the more complicated and messier it's going to get. So you have to know what's going on everywhere, and you kind of have to be there. Project managing it is a way that a lot of people look at it, is that, this is your development team, or your software developer that you hired to do your job, and you're managing it, and you're giving it requirements. You're asking it to do things. You're asking it to refine things. So it's going to be that same sort of relationship. The best way that I heard it mentioned once is, and I think Soren or Matt mentioned this in the last one too, is something similar, but think of it as an intern that knows everything, has taken every course in the world and read every book, but has zero job experience, and you have to teach this intern how to actually apply their knowledge. So that's the best way to look at it, is this is your helper. This is your assistant. It's not a magic wand, and you're not just going to say, hey, build me something super complicated, and you're done. Not going to work that way. So one of the, I was saying, one of the important things is how to talk to AI, and how to project manage it, right? And how to teach that intern how to do these things. This quote is one that I use all the time when I talk to people, because people will go in and they'll try and do something overly complicated, or not give enough direction, or they'll just kind of throw a one-liner out there, and they won't get what they want, and they'll say, oh, AI is stupid, like it doesn't know what it's doing, this thing's never going to stick. It's not, like, it's not stupid. It's what you put in is what you get back. And it's getting better, right? And every day it's getting better. And this quote is from Ethan Mollick, who wrote this book, Co-Intelligence, and he says this in here and goes into it. Is that the AI we're using today is the worst AI we'll ever use, because whatever comes out tomorrow is going to be better than today. And it's getting better exponentially. Even in the past couple years that I've been using it, it's day and night. It's totally different world. So it's only going to get better. This is also a book that I recommend. Ethan Mollick he's a professor in the MBA program at Wharton, and we've all read this at RunSignup, and it kind of changed the way we'd started to look at things. But it is about working with AI and how to use it. And he is not a developer. He's an MBA professor, so it's coming from the side of non-developers working with AI. So I think this is a great read. So these are some of the points that he talks about, and other people talk about, and that we've learned about. And it ties into that. What we look at is you prompt something 10 times, you get 10 different results. How do you rein that in, and how do you make it, how do you make it more solid, right? You want it to do what what you want it to do. Um, have a conversation before you start. Before you jump in and start doing something, talk to it, right? It's an LLM. It's a large language model. Like, that's what it's there for, is to converse and kind of, you teach it and it teaches you. If you want it to do something that is kind of complicated, or you're not sure how it's, that it's going to get it right, talk to it about it. Ask it to explain it to you. Say, hey, I want to create a calculator to help me predict my race paces. How would I predict a marathon pace? And even if you know it, let it talk to you, because it's the same as humans, right? Like, if I know something, I know it, but I don't really know it until I can teach it to you. And if I can teach it to you, that means it's solid in here. So let it teach it to you, because that's going to go in the AI's memory, and it's going to remember it. It's going to know that. And you're also at that point making sure that you guys are on the same page, and that you know what kind of application you're building and how you want things to be, whether calculated or displayed or working, right? So don't be afraid to talk to it first. It's like a project briefing, right? Anything you do here, like I said, it's a project. So talk to it, give it some background, tell it why you're doing this thing, and all of that. Um, and that'll help you learn how to talk to it, and it'll learn the AI how to talk to you. And that's an important thing. It's a two-way road here, which is kind of, people could say it's kind of scary, but it's also really, really cool, because it learned how you talk and how to respond to you, and it learns what you like and what you don't like and what you want to see, and it really gets predictive, which is cool, because it's learning. It's like, it's getting better at interacting with you as you're getting better interacting with it. And that's important. And you have to know how to ask it to do things, and it has to know how to tell you things. So just keep talking to it. Start small, even project wise, and let it become an extension of your thinking. And you should kind of become an extension of its thinking, because it really is the same. And it's kind of, you're going to feed each other, and it's really cool. And like one of the things I loved early on was, like, earlier this year, a lot of us were just kind of, at nighttime, we would sit down and just kind of heads down and, like, plow through some projects that we were thinking of using AI. And we were doing this cool thing where we were writing applications with zero, like, we weren't touching code at all. It was 100% let the AI do the code. As much as it bothered you, or you see it doing things wrong, like, we were only allowing ourselves to write prompts and see what it would do, because we were trying to find its weaknesses and its strengths and all that. But the coolest thing was, on a meeting one day, a few of us got on a call, and we were talking about it, and we went on, and, like, I would see how someone else on the team was talking to the AI, and the responses it was getting, and it was totally different from what I was doing and what I was getting. And we were using the same piece of software, and we were getting completely different sorts of responses and different sorts of actions. And it was so cool, because, like, you could really see, like, this AI understands me, and, like, we are working together. Where, like, if I went on with Joel and used his AI, I would it would feel a little awkward, and maybe we wouldn't get the same sort of responses. So it really does, meld to you, and you meld to it, and it becomes a great partner. So I think that's really important. Um, and that turns into prompting, because that's really what talking to AI is writing prompts. And the term prompt engineering is used a lot, and I know it's one of those, it's one of those phrases that people get nervous about and say, oh, I'm not an engineer, I can't prompt engineer. And, like, it makes me think of back when I was president of my running club, and I tell people, new runners, to come to track workouts, because there's a great way to meet other runners. And they say, oh, I don't do track workouts, I'm not a runner. It's the same sort of thing. It's like, yeah, come, you can run around the track and do it at your own pace. And this is the same thing. It's it's, you know, you're gonna engineer a prompt in your way, in your style, and you're gonna learn. You're gonna start small, and you're gonna get up to those Yasso 800s. You know, you're gonna get there, and you know, do these hard workouts and meet good people along the way. So this quote comes from Matt Brady, who's on our team, and this is an appropriately AI generated picture of him from our dev conference this year. But he said it is AI doesn't do what you want it to do. It does what you ask it to do. And that's really important because, and this goes back to the whole thing of people saying AI doesn't, you know, it's no good. It doesn't do what I want it to do. It's doing it. It just, it can't see in your brain. So what you ask it matters. So we're going to look for a second at prompt engineering and why it makes a difference. So this is just really simple, right? This is if you go in and you say, you know, hey, you know, I want to make a race calendar. So you open up your AI and you say, create a race calendar. Like, what do you think you're going to get? You know, it's probably not going to be that good, but this is, you know, people will do this and they'll say, you know, they'll get something and you know, oh, that's not what I wanted. The AI is stupid, right? It's not going to do it. So I ran it here. This is V0, and I ran this yesterday. You can see I just put in here, create a race calendar. Just copied and pasted it, and yeah, you see it thinks it's looking for design inspiration like we've seen, and it's doing all that stuff. And this is what it, you know, what it spit out for me. Okay, it's pretty. It looks good. It has a search. You know, I can filter on series. Oh, it's race cars. It's you know, it's NASCAR, it's Indy. Okay, and these are the races. Oh, okay, I see a race calendar. And I'm going to do the same thing over here actually in another tool called Cursor. And what I did here was, and I'm going to go through this in the end, but I just created a new. I guess I'll go slowly through this just to introduce Cursor a little bit, but I just created a new folder here. And in here, I have a blank, just blank project. So I'm going to take this, oops, this same thing, and I'm going to say, create a race calendar. Let's see what it does. It's going to do the, and this is the same setup as V0 while it's thinking, is you're going to have your chat on the side and where you prompt and where it kind of goes through its thinking and it's going to tell you what it's doing. The only difference is it's going to show the code in this spot, but it spits out, if we go here, we'll see it spit out some of the files in here. But I just want to do this again as an exercise in real time to see what it does. Now we're doing some style. I'll keep this one up here too for. It's funny because this one really isn't too bad for what it is. Just knowing that it's races, but it does a decent job. Let's open this while it's going. I don't think Cursor has the dings like V0 does. And the other part about Cursor is Cursor's a development environment. So this is really for writing code, and you know, this is what we use, is what developers use. So if you're not a developer, it's probably overkill, but it gives you the files like this, so then you can go and you know, you can take them and host them yourself and do what you want. But see, this is kind of like what I was saying before, is like it's saying, okay, you know, I'm done, and you know, it's telling you, let me test it, and you can, you know, it'll give you prompts. I'm going to skip that for now, and it's creating a README file we don't need. But this is so now this is similar thing. This is what it spit out. Again, not bad. I mean, it's you know, it's giving me the months and it's giving me categories. Motorsport. So again, it wasn't really sure. Swimming, triathlon, and running. Let's see what running races is. Is that a, yeah, there we go. So it gives me a link. So that's pretty decent. And then the ability to add a race. So you can go in here and add it. And that's pretty cool with with no real guidance, but it's not what we want, and there's going to be a lot of work to do here. And it's throwing darts, because if I run this again, I'm probably going to get something completely different. Maybe it would be something more focused on racing, or maybe on car racing, or maybe it would be doing on swimming, or Olympic events or things like that, ski racing, who knows, right? It's all going to depend on what the AI predicts and what it thinks we want. It's not static. It's dynamic. Every time it's going to try and figure out what we want. So that being said, let's go back to our slides and say, what's a better prompt? How can we expand upon this? And we're going to say something like this. Imagine you're a runner looking for your next race. You want to use an application to search for an event. It could be anything from a mile race to a marathon. You'll want to choose a city, time of year, distance, race size, cost, ratings, elevation. Is it hilly or flat? The application should be simple to use, a nice, clean design, and be mobile friendly. So you could already see this didn't take that much more effort to write. And I'm communicating with it like it's a person, right? Like it's a project briefing, saying, you're not going to walk up to a developer and say, hey, I want a race calendar. Like, you're going to tell them things you want to look for, and what you want it to look like, and things like that. So this one took a little longer to run. So I already have them in here. So I'm just going to bring them up to save the time, so we have more time for talking at the end. But this is V0. So same thing. Imagine this is all I did in here was put in, copied and pasted that, and it went through the whole the whole spiel that it normally does, of looking for design inspiration and planning the app, and all of that sort of stuff. And this is what it gave me. So now it's, find your next race. And this, compared to the last one we saw, like, okay, this is looking pretty darn cool. And we see, okay, Boston is in there. That makes sense, right? We got some good races. We can search by name, city, location, and oh wow, look at all these filters. So we can, we can select distance, we can select entry fee, we can select the terrain, all of this stuff, and it's kind of giving a rating in here. It's giving number of participants, tagging it with road, if it's rolling, if it's flat. This is really cool now. Like this did a lot of stuff, and this is still a pretty basic prompt. I'm going to go to the to this side, to cursor, to show you what that one did as well. Very similar. Where now we can search. We see all the races, and we see hilly course, participants. We can do filters, and it's giving us all of these filters with distance, and we can have cost range, and we can have rating searching. We can have, if it's flat or hilly or a mountain, and filter on size, time of year. So now, not this one, go away. This one, this, and this, they're looking more or less similar, right? Like they're not too different. I mean, design-wise they are, but feature-wise, this is doing very much the same thing. The same sort of filters, the same sort of kind of layout and sorting, and how we can use this, and the putting the price and the stars. It feels very much the same. That is the big difference between A and B. And now you can imagine taking this to prompt 3 or prompt 4 or prompt 5 and keeping it going, and how exact you can get. If you wanted to put in here, I really like these images, but this one doesn't. You could say, use a nice, clean design to be mobile friendly. I want each race to have a preview image for that race. There you go. Now they'll both have that. So these are the sort of things that you should be thinking about when you're writing something to do this stuff, because the more you give, the more you're going to get. And the more direction you give, the more accurate you're going to get on what you're trying to do. This is really, really important. Again, AI doesn't do what you want it to do. It does what you ask it to do. So make sure you're asking good. From here too, this is this is a really good spot to kind of say, okay, we just did this and it spit this out, and I did this yesterday, so I'm not even one prompt and let it go, and here it is. But I'm kind of curious, like, where's it getting these ratings from? So we can just ask it, where are you getting the ratings from, and see what it says. And I can do the same thing in Cursor also, because I think this one gave me ratings also, right? Yeah, so I can go in here and say, so there you go. Fictional ratings. So I created realistic looking ratings, 4.3 to 4.9 based on what these races might typically receive. So that's, that's really interesting. And coming from static hard coded, so this is the same thing. So these are both sample ratings. So one thing that, just kind of looking at these tools side by side, again, they're doing the same exact thing. What I really like about Cursor, what it's doing here, saying why I use the sample data, and it's going to say, hey, want to make it real? So here's what we can do. We can connect to Google, connect to Yelp, race-specific platforms like RunSignup. So this is like, or social media, right? So you can go to social media, and this is really cool because now I can, and that's what I was thinking initially. It's like, oh, we should get like Google reviews. I'm sure races out there have Google, if you look at Boston Marathon, I'm sure there's Google reviews. So, we could say, yeah, let's hook it up to Google reviews or Yelp, and it'll walk you through that API process the same as you did in Project One when you connected a weather API. It's going to say, okay, I can get this information for free. Or in this case, it'll probably say, hey, like, you need an API key and secret, and it'll walk you through how to set that up. You give it the information, and it stores it in a configuration file for you. And now you get real reviews. The same sense, you can look at this and say, well, where the heck are these races coming from? March 21st, 2024, April 4th, 2024. And, you look here, April 2024, February 10th, 2024. Do you notice a trend here? They're all old. And that's one of the things you have to think about with this sort of stuff. And these were probably also hard coded in here if we asked it. It'll say, it probably, looking at these, Peachtree and Disney and Boulder, Big Sur, Boston, these are all really popular races, right? That we all know. So it probably searched the internet for like the most, some of the most popular races out there, and or things that came up in search fast, and it was able to get in there as sample data. But we could do the same thing where we say, hey, where'd you get this race data from? And it'll probably give us some suggestions of where to get race data from. But you could easily just say, say to it quickly, like, hey, like, I want to use, say, the RunSignup API to get race information for this search. And it'll, you could, again, feed it the documentation that you looked at last time, which is runsignup.com/API. And you go down to your API methods, and you can go to the races. Get races, and you can and should just feed it this page as was talked about in Project 2, and say, hey, use this API. This is, I want to use API to get, oh, sorry, I should bring that up a little bit. My doc is blocking it. I'm going to use this API to get races. This will be all races on RunSignup. Let's start with races after October, or after today, we can say, after today. So it is forward looking. Pull in as much information as you can from the race and include the race logo. The link for view details should lead to the registration page. Here is the API documentation. So again, practicing what I'm preaching, I'm not just saying use this and posting a link. I'm being explicit about what I want, what it is, and what I want it to do. And we'll see what kind of result this gives us. But this is the this is the sort of thing that you should be guiding it and really working with it to get what you want, and ask it specifically and let it pull and figure it out. So we're going to leave that there for a minute and see what that does. But you should really be thinking about now, how can I, and this is prompt engineering. This is it. Like you're doing it now. Like you're writing something that's just clear and it's detailed, and it's gonna, it's really gonna put it on the path to success. We have written at RunSignup some of the stuff we've done. I think the longest one I've seen was like a Word document that was maybe like 6 or 7 pages long. That was one prompt that was copied and pasted into Cursor to do something. And it's a requirement document, and that was obviously something super complicated. But don't be afraid to write too much. You're going to get back what you give, and don't be afraid to ask it questions and talk to it and figure it out. This all kind of drives back to what I was saying in the beginning: is talk to it. Like here, ask it questions. Why did all this was here? It just wasn't telling us. So you got to ask. The same way with a person. They have all of that in there, but if you don't ask them, they're not going to tell you. Okay, other tools worth knowing about. These top ones, and these all over here were talked about the first time. I think a big thing to mention is ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude. Just to drive it home, those are the big three that are the big models that people talk about a lot. So when we look at something like Cursor, like these other tools, like Cursor, V0, these are using these models. So Cursor right now, I have it set up to be using Claude because Claude is very good at writing code. There's many applications out there that are using these models underneath them. There are other ones that are out there, of course. Meta has their own. There's some lightweight ones that should be able to run on your machine, but these are the three that matter right now. That might change, but these are the three that matter right now. Everything is kind of using these. I added on here Cursor. Whoops. Cursor, which you looked at, which is an IDE to write code, which I like to use a lot, probably because I'm a developer. Kiro is another one that's new. I believe it's Amazon backed. That one's fun to use too. It really helps you write requirements and things like that. Warp is a fun little tool if you have any interest in using command line. That you can, it actually gives you a little terminal that comes up, and you can just like talk to it. So if you have any interest in doing that, like you could just say, what directory am I in? And it'll tell you, I think I need to update and stuff. But anyhow, that's a fun one to use as well. There's a million tools out there, and there's going to be a million more. I think for this, V0 and Vercel are great if you don't have development experience. Cursor I like a bit more if you do, if you feel more comfortable with that. And just know Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, they're the workhorses usually underneath that are doing all of the work. So what to do next? these are my personal tips to have fun, think outside the box, be creative, and solve a problem. I think number one, I got to keep driving that home. Having fun is the most important thing. Don't bite off too much at first. I've seen many people try and jump into this and make some really like complex thing and integrate with other stuff and do all of this, and it's overwhelming. It's hard to get what's going on. It's a lot. It's like drinking from a fire hose. So I always tell people just open up. If you go to V0, open up a new project and open up a new project and just do something fun. What do you like? I think the first thing I did when I opened up something to code was create a website for guitar lessons. Like that's it. Just see what it does. See what it spits out. It looked horrible. It put some decent information in there, but that started the conversation, right? Because some words on a page are better than a blank page. So it got me talking to it and said, hey, can we use bootstrap styling? Can we change the pricing? Where did you get that pricing from? I only want to teach adults. I don't want to teach kids. I teach jazz. I don't really want to teach blues or classic rock. Can we use more blues and more, more whites in it and make it look more friendly? Can we move this here? And, 15, 30, 45 minutes later, you built a partnership and you're doing what I said in the beginning of learning how the AI talks to you and learning how you talk to the AI, and you're going to have fun doing it. And that's going to like kind of lead to number two of like, well, what can I do beyond this? This isn't really that exciting. And you're going to start doing different things. And then you're going to start getting creative and because you're going to get bored, right? Oh, this is just a guitar lesson site. How do I do this now? And how do I get this information? And wouldn't it be cool if I could bring the weather into my race search, right? Things like that are going to start popping out. And that's what you need to, it's going to get you to that level. It's baby steps, and it's going to get you to where you need to be. And you're going to start solving problems. So my advice to everyone leaving this webinar series is take everything you've learned and you've seen so far, go to V0 or whichever app of your choice and open a new project and do something fun. If you like to take photographs, build a little portfolio site. If you play Scrabble or board games, build a word generator. Just kind of think of things that would be cool to have and just have fun. Throw it away when you're done, but you're going to learn a lot from it. It's really important. And finally, I think what's coming next. We do have a webinar scheduled on October 22nd for prompt engineering, and I believe that's with Bruce and Matt Brady. Matt Brady, who you saw in AI format or AI cartoon format earlier. They're going to talk through prompt engineering and go deeper into what I was talking about with getting back what you give. So that'll be a good one to help you on the next step. But we also want to know what you want to see next. We can talk about this stuff all day, but we want to make sure it's useful. So do you want to see deeper dives into specific topics, more beginner-friendly stuff, more advanced stuff like OAuth 2 or logging in, other tools, how to use something outside of V0. And I think a big topic that's coming up is MCP versus APIs and what that difference is. These are some ideas, but anything you want to see, let us know either in the chat or you can reach out afterwards and let us know. And I just want to look back at this. Oh, I got an API error, but we can try and fix it. Because this is the last part that I wanted to mention when talking about this stuff is, let me go back to this one for a second. We saw these are all old races, right? These are all 2024. And that's something that's important to know about a lot of this stuff is it's doing what it was trained on. So it was, it's trained to look backwards and kind of do this. So it's not always going to have, when you do things like this, the most up-to-date data unless you give it a source and you tell it, hey, go to the RunSignup API and get race data, or go to the weather API and get the weather information. Go get new ratings from this source. So it knows how to go out there and get it, but you have to explicitly tell it, or else it's going to work on what it's trained with. So important to use, use sources, use real sources. Well, this is working now. I mean, it didn't find any races, but I didn't get any errors there. But this would be, now we would go down that rabbit hole of like, why are there no races, and we can start debugging it. But yeah, that's a lot of what I wanted to talk about today. And we have, I guess, 10 minutes now to talk questions and see if I can help anyone feel better about this stuff.
I don't see any questions so far. We'll give people just a couple of minutes to get some stuff in. If you guys have things too that you want us to talk about, feel free to add those in the questions or chat boxes as well. We have some upcoming webinars on using AI for websites and for content, and using content that AI will understand, as well as then getting into more of how our developers use AI and the prompt engineering that Jonathan teased a little bit. So we have a long roster of webinars scheduled, but we're also going to continue to add them based on what people want to learn. So feel free to share with us.
Yeah, I think the other thing I'll note too is if anyone goes out and starts to build some stuff and you get a cool application, I want to see it. I've seen some really cool stuff this past year, just through work and around town, just talking to people about this stuff. Things that just like I never would have thought of, or they came out really cool and just kind of blew my mind. So please, feel free to track me down and LinkedIn or email or whatever, and send me links. I love seeing the stuff that people build on this stuff.
Here is one actually really good question. Does Cursor have training material for people that are still early in their coding journey? And does it make sense to use V0 and Cursor on the same projects?
I wouldn't use them on the same project. They're going to be in different worlds. But if you're just getting started on your coding journey, I would definitely recommend using Cursor. It's like, because again, you can talk to it and you can tell it specifically what language you want to do it in. And that's, even looking in here, I think this, like, there's a lot of, I forget what it did, but V0, tends, from what I've seen, like tends to lean towards things like TypeScript and Python, and it'll kind of choose the language it wants. But you can specify. So like if I were to go in here and I say, let's create a, I'm going to go back to here and say, I'm going to build this out a little bit more, but I want to create a simple Hello World website using PHP. You could do something like this, and it's, you can tell it, I want to use PHP. I want to use JavaScript. I want to use Perl. I want to, whatever you want, you can do it. And it's going to be really helpful because all of that, like, PHP is open source, right? It's all out there. So it has all of that documentation, and it's going to, we're going to skip that. It's going to know the world of PHP. So it's going to be able to do that there and show you something like this. And now, you can look at this and say, is this what I wanted to do? Like, what does echo mean? What is this, what does this PHP tag mean? What is this doing? And it'll explain it to you. So it's a really, really good way to actually learn. It's like having a teacher there with you while you're building something like this. And if you don't know how to run it, it'll tell you, like, run this command, because PHP you can't just open, right? It's a server-side language, but it really is easy to run on your computer. You just have to know to do this and do this. And if you don't know that, you could spend hours trying to figure it out. But right here, it's telling you what to do. So yeah, I think if you're starting your programming journey, 100% use Cursor. It'll make you a better and more informed developer much faster. Just don't be afraid to ask it questions and have conversation with it. Go back and forth.
And one more here. Can these apps tie into custom GPTs or Gemini gems?
I'm not sure the answer to that. I think, with complexity, anything is possible. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I haven't done any of that offhand, so I'm not sure the best way to answer that.
If you find out, let us know.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. I think that looks like all for today. So thank you guys for joining us, and thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you guys, and have fun.